My name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. Last Tuesday, I discovered something that would destroy my family forever. It started with a simple text from my mom: Sarah, don't come to Thanksgiving this year. You embarrassed Jessica enough at her engagement party. I stared at my phone, confused and hurt. What had I done wrong? Then Jessica's boyfriend Marcus called me, his voice shaking. Sarah, I need to tell you something about your sister and your parents. What they did to you. It's been planned for months. Your whole family has been lying to you. Before I dive into this shocking family betrayal story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. If you're ready for a tale of deception, revenge, and justice served cold, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about family loyalty. Trust me, you won't see this twist coming. The phone call with Marcus lasted 3 hours, and by the end of it, my entire world had crumbled. Marcus wasn't just Jessica's boyfriend of 2 years. He was my former fiancé from 5 years ago. The man I thought had abandoned me for his career in Seattle had actually been driven away by my own family. Sarah Marcus's voice was heavy with guilt. I never left you by choice. Your parents. They told me things. Horrible things about you that I believed because I trusted them. They said you were cheating on me with my best friend. They showed me fake text messages, doctored photos. I was devastated and angry, so I left without confronting you. My hands trembled as I gripped the phone. That's impossible. My parents loved you. They were heartbroken when you left. No, Sarah. They orchestrated it. Your dad offered me a job in Seattle. A position that didn't even exist. When I got there and realized I'd been played, I tried to come back, but your mom told me you'd already moved on. She said you were relieved I was gone and that you'd started dating someone new immediately. The memories came flooding back. How my parents had been so supportive after Marcus left, almost too supportive. How they'd encouraged me to move back home to lean on them. How they'd slowly isolated me from friends who might have told me the truth. But why? I whispered. Why would they do that to me? Marcus took a deep breath. Because Jessica was in love with me. She confessed everything to me last week in a moment of guilt. Apparently, she'd been obsessed with me since we first started dating. She told your parents she couldn't live without me, that seeing us together was destroying her mental health. So they decided to break us up. I felt sick. And now you're engaged to her. It's complicated. After I moved back to town last year for work, Jessica found me. She was different, or so I thought. She seemed mature, confident. We started talking, then dating. She told me you were happily married now, living across the country. I thought enough time had passed. I thought you'd moved on and found someone better. I never married anyone, Marcus. I've been alone for 5 years. The silence on the other end was deafening. Finally, he spoke again. Sarah, there's more. The engagement party you supposedly embarrassed Jessica at. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just being yourself. Kind, funny, genuine. But Jessica had a meltdown afterward. She became hysterical, saying she couldn't go through with marrying me because she'd stolen me from you. Your parents convinced her that the only solution was to cut you out completely, to make sure you could never interfere with her happiness again. I remembered that night clearly. I'd given a toast about how proud I was of Jessica for finding love, how she deserved all the happiness in the world. I'd mentioned how Marcus seemed like such a good man, someone who would take care of her. Everyone had laughed and applauded. Where was the embarrassment they're planning to tell everyone you've been causing problems for months? Marcus continued. That you've been jealous and trying to sabotage the relationship? They want to paint you as unstable, so when they cut contact, people will understand. My mind raced. Suddenly, everything made sense. The way my parents had been acting lately. Distant, critical. How they'd been asking strange questions about my job, my finances, my mental health. They'd been building a case against me. Marcus, why are you telling me this now? Because I love you, he said simply. I never stopped loving you. When Jessica confessed everything, I realized what we'd lost, what they'd stolen from us. I can't marry her knowing the truth. I can't be part of this anymore. What are we going to do? We're going to expose them. All of them. But we need to be smart about it. Your family has been planning this for years. We need evidence. Jessica recorded some conversations with your parents about their plan. She's been feeling guilty and documented things thinking she might confess someday. She doesn't know I've seen them yet. Wait, you still have access to her recordings. We live together. Her laptop is always open. Sarah, what they've done to you. It's not just cruel, it's calculated. They've been systematically destroying your relationships, your confidence, your trust in your own perceptions. Your dad got my college roommate to confirm their lies about you cheating. Your mom spread rumors to your work friends about why Marcus really left. They've been playing a long game. I sat down hard on my couch, the weight of the revelation crushing me. How many people know the truth? Just Jessica, your parents, and now me. But Sarah Jessica isn't the villain here. She was 19 when this started, barely an adult. Your parents manipulated her grief over our breakup, convinced her she deserved happiness even if it came at your expense. They made her believe you'd get over it, that you were stronger than she was. She was 23 at the engagement party, Marcus. She's an adult now. You're right. And that's why she started recording things. She was gathering evidence to confess to you. She just didn't have the courage to do it. When she had that breakdown at the party, she was going to tell everyone the truth. Your parents convinced her she'd destroy the whole family if she did. I felt a cold clarity washing over me. Send me everything you have. Every recording, every message, every piece of evidence. Sarah, what are you planning? I'm going to give them exactly what they want, a Thanksgiving they'll never forget. Over the next 3 days, Marcus sent me everything. Hours of audio recordings, screenshots of text conversations, even emails between my parents discussing their strategy. The evidence was overwhelming and devastating. My own mother's voice captured on Jessica's phone saying things like, "Sarah has always been the stronger one. She'll bounce back. Jessica needs this more." I listened to my father explaining to Jessica how to handle Sarah's questions if I ever got suspicious. I read detailed plans about how they would gradually turn extended family members against me, making me seem unstable and jealous. They'd even practiced responses for when I inevitably discovered the truth, planning to gaslight me into thinking I was imagining things. But the most damaging evidence was a recording from just after the engagement party. Jessica was crying, telling my parents she couldn't live with the guilt anymore. My mother's response chilled me to the bone. "Jessica, we've invested too much in this to let Sarah ruin it now. She's always been selfish. She had her chance with Marcus, and she wasn't grateful enough. You appreciate what you have." My father's voice joined in. "Sarah will find someone else. She's pretty and successful. But you, Jessica, you've struggled with depression, with self-worth. Marcus makes you stable. Sometimes we have to make hard choices to protect the people who need protection most." They weren't just talking about a relationship. They were talking about my entire life as if it were disposable, as if my happiness was less important than Jessica's convenience. I spent those 3 days in a strange state of calm. The initial shock had worn off, replaced by something colder and more focused. I wasn't angry anymore. I was strategic. They wanted to play games, fine. But they'd forgotten one crucial thing about me: I'd always been better at chess than any of them. First, I called my cousin David, my dad's nephew, who worked in private investigation. I'd helped him through his divorce 2 years ago, and he owed me. I explained the situation carefully without revealing all the evidence I already had. "Sarah, that's insane. Uncle Tom and Aunt Linda would never do something like that. I know it sounds crazy, but I need you to look into Marcus's job situation 5 years ago. Something doesn't add up about how he got that position in Seattle." David agreed reluctantly. Within 6 hours, he called back, his voice tight. "You're right. There was no job. Uncle Tom, used his connections to create a fake offer letter. The company confirmed they never made an offer to anyone by that name. David, I need you to document everything. Every phone call you made, every person you spoke to. Can you do that?" "Of course. Sarah, what else do you need me to investigate? I need you to find out who else knew. Check with Jessica's college friends, anyone who might have known about her feelings for Marcus back then. I need to know how deep this conspiracy goes. My next call was to my Aunt Rebecca, my mother's sister. She'd always been the truth teller in the family, the one who called people out on their nonsense. I'd been distant from her lately because my parents had been subtly discouraging our relationship, claiming she was going through a difficult time and not the best influence. Aunt Rebecca, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Always am, honey. What's going on? Did my parents ever say anything to you about Marcus leaving? About why he really left? There was a long pause. Sarah, I've been waiting 5 years for you to ask me that question. Your mother told me you and Marcus broke up because you cheated on him. But I never believed it. You were head over heels for that boy. It didn't make sense. What did she tell you exactly? She said you'd been seeing someone else for months that Marcus found out and couldn't forgive you. She made me promise not to bring it up with you because you were fragile and in denial about what you'd done. I respected that, but it never sat right with me. Aunt Rebecca, would you be willing to testify to that, to go on record about what she told you? Testify, Sarah, what's really going on here? I took a deep breath and told her everything. By the end of the call, she was furious. Those bastards. Sarah, you have my full support. Whatever you need, I need you to come to Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow. But you said they uninvited you. Oh, I'm going. And I'm bringing guests. My final preparation was the hardest part. I had to call Marcus and coordinate our plan without alerting Jessica. He was still living with her, still pretending everything was normal while gathering additional evidence. Marcus, tomorrow at dinner I need you to propose a toast. Something about being grateful for honesty and family bonds. Can you do that, Sarah? Are you sure about this approach? Maybe we should just confront them privately first. No. They've had 5 years to come clean. They chose public humiliation as their weapon against me. Turnabout is fair play. Besides, we need witnesses. If we do this privately, they'll just deny everything and paint me as crazy. This way, the whole family sees the evidence at once. What about Jessica? She's going to be devastated. I felt a pang of sympathy for my sister, but it was brief. Jessica is an adult who made adult choices. She's had multiple opportunities to tell the truth. She chose to let me be excluded from family events instead. My sympathy only extends so far. Okay, I'll play my part. But Sarah, after this, there's no going back. Your relationship with your parents will be over. Marcus, my relationship with my parents ended 5 years ago when they decided my happiness was expendable. Tomorrow, I'm just making it official. I spent that evening preparing my presentation like I was giving the most important business pitch of my life. Because in a way, I was. I was pitching for my dignity, for justice, and for the truth that had been stolen from me. Thanksgiving morning arrived gray and cold, matching my mood perfectly. I dressed carefully. Not too formal, but polished. Professional. I wanted to look like someone who had her life together, someone who couldn't be easily dismissed as unstable or jealous. My navy blue dress was conservative but flattering, paired with the pearl necklace Marcus had given me for my birthday 6 years ago. If I was going to burn bridges today, I wanted to look good doing it. David picked me up at 10 a.m. He'd spent the night gathering more evidence, and his findings were explosive. Sarah, this goes deeper than we thought. I found 3 other women in Jessica's college social circle who knew about her obsession with Marcus. One of them, Katie Morrison, said Jessica used to follow you and Marcus on dates. She'd show up at the same restaurants, the same movies, always with some excuse about coincidence. Did Katie say anything else? Yeah. She said Jessica once told her that if she couldn't have Marcus, she'd make sure you couldn't either. This was sophomore year of college before you even got engaged. My stomach churned. So this wasn't a moment of weakness or jealousy. This was premeditated from the beginning. It gets worse. I also found out that your dad's job offer to Marcus. It wasn't just fake. It came with a specific instruction. Marcus was told that if he tried to contact you or come back early, the company would sue him for breach of contract. Dad actually had fake legal documents drawn up. I stared out the car window watching familiar neighborhoods pass by. They really thought of everything. there's one more thing. Aunt Rebecca did some digging too. She talked to your mom's book club friends. Apparently, Linda has been telling people for years that you've been struggling with mental health issues and that the family has been protecting you from yourself. She's been laying groundwork to make you seem unstable. Of course she has. I felt that cold clarity settling over me again. David, did you bring the recording equipment? Everything's set up. High-quality audio recorder in your purse, backup device in my jacket. We'll capture everything. Aunt Rebecca was waiting at the house when we arrived. She looked fierce in her burgundy sweater, her silver hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. I brought reinforcements, she announced, gesturing to Uncle Pete, my dad's brother, and his wife Carol. I filled them in on the situation. They're as disgusted as I am. Uncle Pete's face was grim. Sarah, I always wondered why Tom was so eager to badmouth you after Marcus left. It seemed out of character. Now I understand. We sat in Aunt Rebecca's living room for 30 minutes, going over the plan one final time. I would arrive at my parents' house as if nothing had happened, as if I'd never received the disinvitation text. The family members who knew the truth would arrive shortly after, ensuring there were witnesses to whatever unfolded. Marcus had texted me that morning. Jessica's been nervous all week. She keeps asking if I think you'll cause a scene today. I told her you were uninvited, so she shouldn't worry. She seemed relieved, but also guilty. I think part of her wants this to come out. At noon, I knocked on my childhood home's front door. My mother answered, her face cycling through confusion, annoyance, and panic in the space of 3 seconds. Sarah, what are you doing here? I told you not to come. Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. I brought wine. I held up the bottle like a peace offering, stepping past her into the foyer. I figured we could talk about whatever misunderstanding happened at Jessica's party. My father appeared from the kitchen, his expression darkening when he saw me. Sarah, your mother, was clear. You're not welcome here today. Dad, I honestly have no idea what I did wrong. I gave a lovely toast at the engagement party. Everyone laughed and applauded. Can you help me understand what was embarrassing about that? Jessica emerged from the living room, Marcus behind her. My sister looked pale and nervous while Marcus maintained careful composure. Sarah, you shouldn't be here. Jess, honey, you look stressed. Is everything okay? You seem like you have something on your mind. The doorbell rang before anyone could respond. My mother shot my father a look of panic as Aunt Rebecca, Uncle Pete, and Carol walked in, followed by David. What's going on here? My father demanded. This is supposed to be immediate family only. Tom, Uncle Pete said coldly, we need to have a family conversation. All of us. My mother was backing toward the kitchen. I need to check on the turkey. Linda, the turkey can wait, Aunt Rebecca said firmly. Sit down. We're going to clear the air about some things. What things? Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. I looked directly at my sister. I think you know exactly what things, Jess. Don't you? Marcus stepped forward slightly. Maybe we should all just sit down and talk calmly. Oh, we're going to talk, I said, my voice steady and clear. We're going to talk about a lot of things. About fake job offers. About manufactured evidence of infidelity. About 5-year conspiracies and family betrayals. My mother had gone completely white. Sarah, I don't know what you think you know, but Mom, I know everything. I pulled out my phone and connected it to their Bluetooth speaker system. Would you like to hear your own voice explaining to Jessica how my happiness doesn't matter as much as hers? The room fell silent, except for the sound of my father's heavy breathing. Jessica was staring at Marcus with dawning horror. You told her. You promised you wouldn't tell her. I promised I wouldn't tell her before we had proof, Marcus corrected gently. But Jessica, we have proof now. We have everything. This is ridiculous, my father blustered. Sarah, you're clearly having some kind of breakdown. Making up wild stories, David, I said calmly. Please play the recording of your conversation with the Seattle company about Marcus's job offer. David stepped forward with his own phone. Dad, I think you should sit down for this. as David played the audio of company representatives confirming that no job offer had ever been made to Marcus, that no position matching the description had ever existed, I watched my father's face crumble. The lies were unraveling in real time in front of the entire family. Uncle Pete was shaking his head in disgust. "Tom, how could you do this to your own daughter? You don't understand," my mother said desperately. Jessica was so heartbroken. She was talking about hurting herself. We had to protect her. By destroying Sarah's life, Carol snapped. By lying to the entire family for 5 years, I felt a moment of what you might call triumph, but it was empty. These weren't strangers I was exposing. This was my family. The people who were supposed to love and protect me had instead conspired against me. The victory felt hollow but necessary. This was just the beginning. The real reckoning was about to start, and I needed to see it through to the end. The truth demanded nothing less than complete exposure. The silence in the room was deafening as David's recording ended. My father had sunk into his recliner, his face ashen. My mother was clutching the back of the couch like it was the only thing keeping her upright. But I wasn't done. Not even close. "That was just the beginning," I said, my voice cutting through the tension. "Jessica, would you like to tell everyone about the recordings you made? Or should I play them myself?" Jessica's face crumpled. "Sarah, please. I was going to tell you. I've been trying to work up the courage for months." "Months," I laughed bitterly. "You've had 5 years, Jess. 5 years while I blamed myself for losing the love of my life. 5 years while I went to therapy thinking I was the problem." Marcus moved closer to Jessica, but not in support, in confrontation. "Tell them about the stalking, Jessica. Tell them how you followed us on dates." I never, Jessica started, but I cut her off. "Katie Morrison says otherwise." I nodded to David, who pulled out another phone. "Should we call her? Put her on speaker. Let her tell everyone how you used to brag about having a plan to break us up?" My mother found her voice again. "Sarah, you're tearing this family apart." "I'm tearing the family apart," I whirled on her. "Mom, you spent 5 years telling people I had mental health problems. You systematically isolated me from friends and extended family. You convinced Marcus I was cheating with doctored evidence. And I'm the one tearing the family apart." Uncle Pete stepped forward. "Linda, is that true? Have you been spreading rumors about Sarah's mental health? I was worried about her. After Marcus left, she seemed so fragile. Because you made me fragile, I exploded, my composure finally cracking. You took away my support system. You made me doubt my own perceptions. You gaslit me for 5 years." Aunt Rebecca pulled out her own phone. "Linda, shall I call Margaret from your book club? The one you told that Sarah was unstable and obsessive about Jessica's relationship? Or how about Susan, who you convinced that Sarah needed professional help because she couldn't let go of the past?" My mother's face went through a dozen emotions before settling on desperate anger. "We did what we thought was best. Jessica was suicidal. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't function knowing you had Marcus. We had to choose between our daughters, and we chose the one who needed us more. You chose the one who demanded more," I corrected coldly. "There's a difference." Jessica was sobbing now, but I felt no sympathy. "Tell them about the backup plan, Jess. Tell them what you were going to do if Marcus ever tried to come back to me." "What backup plan?" my father asked weakly. Marcus answered when Jessica couldn't speak. She was going to claim I'd assaulted her. She had a whole story prepared about how I'd forced myself on her while dating Sarah, and that's why she was so traumatized by our relationship. "Your wife knew about it, Tom." She helped Jessica practice telling the story convincingly. The room erupted. Uncle Pete was shouting at my father. Carol was demanding explanations from my mother. David was recording everything with professional detachment, and through it all I felt a strange sense of peace. The truth was finally out. "There's more," I announced, and everyone fell silent again. "Mom, Dad, tell everyone about the will." This time my father looked genuinely confused. "What will?" "The one you changed last year. The one where you left everything to Jessica because you decided I was financially irresponsible and emotionally unstable. The one Jessica knew about and agreed to." My mother's face told me everything. Sarah, how did you? Your lawyer's assistant is dating my coworker. Small world, isn't it? I pulled out printed documents from my purse. Apparently, you've been planning to cut me out of the family completely, not just emotionally, but financially, too. The final punishment for the crime of being the wrong daughter. Jessica looked up from her tears, genuine shock on her face. I didn't know about any will changes. Mom, you never told me that. Because we wanted to surprise you, my mother said defensively. Sarah has her career, her independence. We wanted to make sure you'd be taken care of. Taken care of with my inheritance, I said flatly. After you spent 5 years destroying my relationships and reputation. Marcus had been quiet through most of this, but now he stepped into the center of the room. I need to say something. Jessica, I can't marry you. I won't marry you. What you and your parents did to Sarah? It's unforgivable. Jessica looked up at him with desperate eyes. Marcus, please. I love you. I've always loved you. No, Marcus said firmly. You've been obsessed with me. You've been in love with the idea of winning me away from Sarah. That's not love, Jessica. That's possession. He turned to my parents. And you two enabled her obsession instead of getting her the mental health support she actually needed. You turned a teenager's crush into a 5-year conspiracy that devastated 2 lives. 3 lives, Jessica whispered. It devastated mine, too. I've been living with this guilt, this fear that you'd find out the truth and leave me. I haven't been happy, Marcus. I've been terrified. Then why didn't you tell the truth? I asked her directly. Because by the time I realized how wrong it was, I was in too deep. Mom and Dad said if I confessed, I'd destroy the whole family. They said you'd never forgive any of us, and we'd all lose each other. You're right about one thing, I said quietly. I will never forgive this. But Jessica, you could have saved yourself years of guilt by doing the right thing. Instead, you chose to let me suffer so you could avoid consequences. I looked around the room at my broken family. I want you all to understand something. This ends today. All of it. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. I'm done being the family scapegoat. I'm done being the daughter you sacrifice for the daughter you prefer. My father finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Sarah, you're still our daughter. We love you. No, Dad. You love the idea of being good parents. But good parents don't do what you've done to me. The explosion of truth had a strange aftermath. It was like watching a building implode in slow motion. Everything that had held my family's facade together was crumbling piece by piece. Jessica had locked herself in the bathroom, her sobs echoing through the house. Marcus stood by the window staring out at nothing, his shoulders tense with the weight of 5 lost years. My parents sat in stunned silence, perhaps finally comprehending the magnitude of what they'd done. Aunt Rebecca was the first to break the quiet. Linda, I need to know something. When you told me Sarah had cheated on Marcus, did you believe it yourself or did you know you were lying? My mother's hands were shaking as she reached for a tissue. At first, I thought maybe it could be true. Jessica was so convincing, so heartbroken. But when I saw how devastated Sarah was after Marcus left, I knew. I knew she never would have cheated on him. And you said nothing. Jessica was falling apart. She was seeing a therapist, taking medication for depression. The doctor said removing the source of her trauma was crucial for her recovery. We thought. We thought Sarah was stronger. We thought she'd bounce back. Uncle Pete was pacing now, his anger barely contained. So you sacrificed one daughter's happiness to enable the other's mental illness instead of getting Jessica proper help for her obsession. You fed it. We did get her help, my father protested weakly. Doctor, Morrison said. Wait, David interrupted. Dr. Morrison, as in Katie Morrison's father, the psychiatrist. The color drained from my mother's face. How did you? Katie told me her father was treating Jessica in college. She also said her father never advised removing Marcus from Jessica's life. In fact, he recommended Jessica distance herself from both Sarah and Marcus to work through her obsession in a healthy way. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. You're saying they lied about the doctor's advice too, Doctor. Morrison's notes, which Katie accessed through her father's files after I told her what was happening, show that he specifically warned against any manipulation or interference in Marcus and Sarah's relationship. He said it would only make Jessica's obsessive tendencies worse. My mother burst into tears. "We just wanted both our daughters to be happy by making one of them miserable," Carol snapped. "Linda, what you've done is emotional abuse. 5 years of systematic emotional abuse." Jessica emerged from the bathroom, her face red and swollen. "I want to give you something," she said to me, her voice barely audible. She pulled a small velvet box from her pocket, her engagement ring. "I can't wear this knowing what I know. It should have been yours." I stared at the ring but didn't take it. "Jessica, I don't want Marcus back because you're giving him up out of guilt. I want him back because we never should have been separated in the first place." "I know," she whispered. "And I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry." "Sorry doesn't give me back 5 years," I said flatly. "Sorry doesn't undo the therapy I needed because I thought I was crazy. Sorry doesn't fix the relationships I didn't pursue because I thought I was broken." Marcus turned from the window. "Sarah, what do you want to happen now? What would justice look like to you? I'd been thinking about this for days. I want several things. First, I want every person Mom and Dad lied to over the past 5 years contacted and told the truth. Every friend, every extended family member, every person who was told I was unstable or problematic. Sarah, that's my father, started. I'm not finished. I cut him off. Second, I want the will changed back to its original form. You don't get to financially punish me for crimes I didn't commit." "Of course," my mother said quickly. "We'll fix that immediately." Third, Jessica, I want you to enter real therapy. Not with Dr. Morrison, who you apparently ignored anyway, but with someone who specializes in obsessive behavior and can help you understand why what you did was wrong." Jessica nodded miserably. "I'll do whatever you want." And finally, I looked at my parents. I want complete honesty going forward. No more managing information, no more protecting feelings, no more deciding what's best for other adults. If you can't do that, then we have no relationship. "We can do that," my father said desperately. "Sarah, we can fix this." "Maybe," I said. "But it's going to take years to rebuild trust if it's even possible." David cleared his throat. "There's one more thing. Sarah, I think you should know that Jessica wasn't the only one with recordings. I've been recording this entire conversation. You have documentation of everything that was said here today. Why would I need that? Because I suspect your parents will try to minimize what happened once they've had time to think about it. They'll claim emotions were running high, that things were taken out of context. This recording proves their admissions of guilt." I looked at my mother and father, these people who had raised me, who had taught me right from wrong, who had apparently forgotten those lessons when it came to their own behavior. "I need time," I said finally. "I need space to process all of this. Marcus and I need to figure out if we can rebuild something real or if too much damage has been done. And you all need to face the consequences of your choices." I moved toward the door, then turned back. "Oh, and one more thing. Next year, if there is a next year, Thanksgiving will be at Aunt Rebecca's house. You'll be invited if you've done the work to earn forgiveness. But the days of me begging for scraps of affection from my own family are over." The silence that followed felt different than before. It wasn't the silence of shock. It was the silence of endings and beginnings, of a family that would never be the same again. 6 months later, I was sitting in a coffee shop with Marcus, our hands intertwined across the small table. The winter sun streamed through the windows, warming my face as I watched him laugh at something I'd said about my new therapist. It felt surreal sometimes, this happiness. After 5 years of thinking love had abandoned me, I had to constantly remind myself that this was real. "Have you heard from Jessica lately?" Marcus asked, his voice careful. We'd agreed early on that we wouldn't avoid talking about my family, but we'd approach the topic with intention rather than letting it fester. "She calls once a week," I said. "She's making progress in therapy. Dr. Chen says obsessive behavior patterns can take years to fully address, but Jessica's committed to the work. She's learning to understand the difference between love and possession." Marcus nodded. "And your parents, that's more complicated." I sighed, stirring my latte. They've done everything I asked. They contacted every person they lied to about me, and there were more than I realized. They changed the will back. Dad even wrote a formal letter of apology to your former employer explaining that he'd fabricated the job offer, but I can see in their eyes that they still don't fully understand why what they did was wrong. They're going through the motions of making amends because they want their family back, not because they've had a genuine moral awakening. It was true. My parents had become performatively apologetic, checking off boxes of restitution while missing the deeper point entirely. They'd fixed the external damage while remaining largely oblivious to the internal betrayal they'd committed. Maybe that's enough for now, Marcus suggested gently. Maybe understanding comes later after they've practiced better behavior for a while. This was what I loved about him, his ability to find hope without dismissing my hurt. We'd spent months in couples therapy, not just rebuilding our relationship, but building something entirely new. We weren't trying to recapture what we'd lost. We were creating something stronger from the ashes of our separation. Aunt Rebecca called yesterday, I continued. She wants to host a Easter dinner for what she calls the honest branch of the family tree. David and his kids, Uncle Pete and Carol, you and me, even Dr. Chen if she's willing to come. A chosen family dinner. Exactly. People who've proven they value truth over convenience, love over manipulation. I paused, considering my next words. She asked if we wanted to invite Jessica. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What did you tell her? I said I'd think about it. Jessica's therapist thinks it might be helpful for her to experience healthy family dynamics, to see what relationships look like when they're built on honesty instead of obsession. And what do you think? I think I'm tired of being the bigger person, I admitted. But I'm also tired of being angry. Maybe letting her come isn't about forgiveness. Maybe it's about modeling the kind of family I want to be part of going forward. The coffee shop was busy around us, filled with the comfortable noise of people living their normal lives. It struck me how much I'd missed this feeling. The simple pleasure of being somewhere without constantly analyzing everyone's motivations, without wondering what hidden agenda might be lurking behind friendly conversation. My phone buzzed with a text from my therapist confirming our session for later that week. Individual therapy had been crucial for me, helping me understand how the gaslighting had affected my ability to trust my own perceptions. I'd learned that what my family had done to me had a name: psychological abuse, and that my responses to it were normal, not signs of weakness or instability. I have something to tell you, Marcus, said his voice, taking on a more serious tone. I've been offered a promotion at work. It would mean relocating to Portland. My heart skipped, but not with panic this time. What do you want to do? I want to take it, but only if you're willing to come with me. Are you asking me to move in with you? I'm asking you to build a life with me. Somewhere new, somewhere that doesn't have 5 years of painful history embedded in every street corner. He squeezed my hand. I'm asking you to marry me, Sarah. Not because we're trying to recapture what we lost, but because we've found something better. I stared at him, my heart racing. Marcus Hoffman, are you proposing to me in a coffee shop 6 months after exposing my family's conspiracy against us? Yes, I am. Because I love you more now than I did 5 years ago. I love how you fought for the truth. I love how you've chosen healing over hatred. I love how you've built boundaries without building walls. I thought about Portland, about starting fresh in a place where no one knew our story, where we could just be two people in love without the weight of family drama. I thought about the life we could build together, grounded in truth instead of deception. Yes, I said simply. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll move to Portland. Yes, I'll build a life with you. He kissed me then, right there in the crowded coffee shop, and I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: complete, uncomplicated joy. Later that evening, I called Aunt Rebecca to tell her the news. Her whoop of excitement could probably be heard 3 blocks away. Have you told your parents yet? She asked. Not yet. I'm trying to decide how much of my happiness I want to share with them. Honey, that's your choice entirely. But can I give you some advice, always? Don't let their past betrayal rob you of your present joy. Tell them or don't tell them, include them or exclude them, but make those decisions from a place of strength, not from a place of pain. As I hung up the phone, I realized she was right. The power dynamics had shifted completely. I was no longer the daughter desperate for approval, the sister walking on eggshells, the victim of their manipulation. I was a woman who'd fought for her own truth and won. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and your own well-being? Have you experienced the sweet satisfaction of justice finally being served after years of injustice? I'd love to hear your stories of family karma in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama and justice-served content. Share this video with anyone who needs to hear that they deserve better than manipulation disguised as love. Thank you for listening to my journey. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. Here's to truth healing and the courage to demand better from the people who claim to love us.